I am so unbelievably excited to share this video with you all today. I have been meaning to make this for ages now, and I just haven't. Many of you may remember my build in Monarchy Season 5 Fool's Gold being the Baker House from Resident Evil 7. Well, I'm back with another one from Village this time. Obviously this is not the Baker house. This is the house Beneviento. And I believe it's the second location that you go to in Resident Evil Village. And obviously it has a disclaimer. I cannot recreate it absolutely one per one in ARC because the measurements just, they don't line up, but that's okay. That's okay. I am still really proud of the build itself, and it's honestly one of my favorite houses I've built in ARC to date. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as I did. At the end of the video, I'll have some comparison shots, and I'll talk about those a little bit more too. Here you can see my greenhouse. I built it all on a tree platform, or excuse me, a cliff platform, because I knew that I wanted it by a waterfall, just like in the game Resident Evil. It's actually built next to a waterfall. I couldn't orient it the same, so that kind of sucked. But, the thought's still there. So as you can see, the pillars didn't actually meet up to the roof line, and no matter what I did, I could not get them to do it. So if you have any builder tips, let me know how you can get pillars to sort of line up when the roof line isn't on the same grid. Absolutely open to tips. But here you can see the porch. I didn't have the building that you run into on this side of the porch that is in the game, simply because I didn't want another tiny enclosed space that would open up how wide this needed to be. So I eliminated that, but still put the storage over here, just like in the original game. They had storage there with some barrels. Now we're moving inside to arguably my favorite room of the entire build. Here you can see the foyer. They actually do have a foyer in the game as well. This is where you pick up the piece of rose after you beat this level. And here I have it as just a drop and dino storage area with some greenery. I made sure to add lots of greenery because there was lots of gardens as well in House Beneviento. Here is the amazing room with the turning stairwell, the lofted hallways there, all of the pillars. I love this room. I was so proud after figuring out how to build this room in particular that it just, every single time I walk into it, it makes me so happy. And here you can see I also have the hallways, just like in the game, that lead off to the left and the right. We're going to start with the left. This was a small room that you actually couldn't enter because there was lots of boxes and barrels in it. So I turned this into a storage room using the visual storage mod to try to make it look a little bit more unique and aesthetically pleasing. Very cramped in there. I didn't go all the way in because it is a pretty tiny room, as though it does look rather large. Just didn't line up one-to-one, like I said. This hallway I took a lot of creative liberties with. I used it for storage, as you could see, or display for the tributes, and I have my boss terminal there so that I could keep my boss tames separate from the rest of the terminals that I have in this house. And I also used the rest of this hallway as a display for the boss flags. I took a lot of liberties with this particular hallway because there were a lot of doors I couldn't go into in the actual game, and some rooms that were lacking that I needed for a functional ARC base. As you can see, we're running into a kitchen. This is actually a wall here in Resident Evil, but I didn't have access to a kitchen on this floor of the build in the actual map, so I elected to put a kitchen out here, out back, and took advantage of all of the amazing scenery and the steampunk glass structures. I ended up really loving this kitchen a lot, and even though that the windows don't work exactly how they used to, it's still just really cool to come into this room and see all the bioluminescence out through all of the double doors that I used as wide windows. This is another door that was somewhere along this hallway that I elected to use as a greenhouse. Again, there were lots of plants and lots of greenhouses and gardens around House Beneviento, but I couldn't obviously landscape in Arc as well as I could then, so I just elected to move everything into a cozy and easy to use greenhouse. Now, this room isn't as decorated as I would like it to be. You'll see later on in the shots, but this is one of the main spaces. This is actually, I believe, where you have a pretty good face off with the small doll at the end of the level. But I did remember that it had this wonderful section that was kind of arched off to the side, where it was kind of this living room slash dining room slash study. So a lot of my smithies, tinkering stations, and just kind of cozy items went in here to try to get as close to that as possible. Again, I could have put a table in here, but it just got too cramped in my opinion, so I elected to not have it. Again, back to this hallway. The shape of the hallway itself is very similar to the one in the game. You actually run through here a couple times. This takes you to the elevator and back. However, obviously we don't have elevators in the sense that I could go through a platform. It was going to be a pain in the ass to try to do the elevators to get to the second or the basements, but I have ideas later for those in future builds. Now we're going upstairs into that lofted hallway. I love walking around up here. It brings me, again, so much joy. A lot of this was actually closed off in the game. We could only access the main bedroom, but as you can see here, I have doors in all of these areas that there were doors in the game, and they are all accessible. I don't know why that light in the back hallway pops off if I get too far away from it, but it comes in and out of reality all the time. I turned this into a tribute storage area with a little chair just to make it super cozy. And here we are going to go down this hallway. A table and crates and boxes actually kept you from going down here in the game itself, but I obviously wanted more like room, so I turned this top section into sort of the indie, in quotation marks, room where you have the fabricator, grinder, and chem bench. And there is a taxidermy of my wonderful beans. Oh, my baby girl, she looks so good at the end of the hallway. This was another bedroom I ended up not having any need for, besides just throwing a vault in there. But this is the actual bedroom that you were able to go into. It's not a one-to-one layout match, simply because I needed more storage that I could grab at a glance or quickly for all of our runs through Aberration. So, but for the most part, it's generally set up the same. The windows in the same place, the bed's on the same wall, etc., etc. It was cozy. I enjoyed it there. Now, the reason why the roof is so big in comparison to the actual House Beneviento, I have my Indie Forge in here, and I'm going to be putting a replicator up here as well, so I needed the roof line to be crazy high. But this is where all of my really large visual storage for all my bigger resources go, and it ended up working out really well roofline wise, but it was a pain, man. Now, here you can see all of the in-game screenshots I took in Resident Evil when we did my New Game Plus. I took all of these reference photos myself and even had a map version that I took so that I could kind of lay it out. Here you can see that lofted area with the stairwell. This is the room with the table and all the desks and the chimney, and here you can see that cozy corner on the side. I think I did a pretty good job. Let me know what ones you want to see next, and of course I will bring you back for any other base tours I make.